So a writer for The Athletic recently put out a report saying that the Panthers have been looking around the league, inquiring about possibly making a trade for a defensive back. Now, I don't know if I should be pissed off just because it's only 2 weeks before the season and we're still looking for quality defensive backs on our roster, or I should just be kind of happy and thankful that they're actually doing anything, because the people that we have on this roster, they're not going to get a cut. And me as a fan, and probably you guys also, have seen this whole offseason that we don't really have what it takes between our cornerbacks and our safeties probably to be able to compete in a division as high-powered as this. But before we get into that, my name is Aaron Duncan here with the Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk. This is the channel where I might not tell you what you want to hear, but I'm definitely going to tell you what you need to hear. And I give recap and analysis of the NFL through live streams, podcasts, and videos like this. So if you want to see more content like about the Panthers and this NFL in general, you got to hit that subscribe button, man. If you haven't hit it already yet, you're probably behind right now. Make sure you hit it. That way you don't miss any videos, because I'm dropping these things like hotcakes. And I do a live stream every week on Wednesdays, and they always lit. Trust me, they're always lit, so you don't want to miss any of those. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. But give the video a thumbs up too while you're at it too. That'll show your boy some love. But to get back into it, the cupboard on this team is pretty bare when it comes to the cornerback position, especially in the secondary overall. Actually, we let go of Eric Reid, Ross Cockrell, and James Bradberry walked in free agency and signed with the New York Giants. Now, Bradberry is the only one that's actually on the team, and Eric Reid and Ross Cockrell are still out there. So I'm confused of why we decided that we needed help like this, but we cut these guys who are still available. Now, Eric Reid, I still can't fathom why we cut him after 1 year into his deal when we signed him for a 3-year deal this past offseason. Like, if you're going to pay somebody anyway and you need secondary help, why not bring him in? I know everybody doesn't like Eric Reid, but if you actually watch the film on him, what they asked him to do last year, trying to play linebacker and stuff, beside Luke Kuechly and Shaq Thompson, he actually did a good job for what he was needed to do. And for us to actually need help, I think the Panthers have too much pride to go back and ask him to come back to this team. But to look at the cornerback position specifically and see that Dante Jackson is our number one guy, if you told me that his rookie year he would probably be the number one guy eventually, I would have believed you, because he showed flashes his rookie year. But after his year last year, you don't know what you're going to get from Dante Jackson, and you want to see some consistency from him if you really want to be able to depend on him as a number one receiver, because this guy he's fast and he can make plays. He has some pretty good ball skills, but he's not that tall. He's a little bit light in the pants. I know he probably gained some weight this offseason, but to go against some of the big body receivers in this division, you need a top corner that can be physical like we had in Bradberry and that can still run with these guys. But to me, it's just a little confusing of why the front office has decided to just now want to address these issues that we've had. Now, we have Corn Elder that's still on the roster that we drafted, it seems like forever ago, but he didn't even play at all in 2019. And the last time we saw him in 2018, he was getting cooked up by Russell Wilson after he came in to replace Dante Jackson, who got hurt on the first play of that game. Now, they did make some offseason moves. Not like they didn't do anything. They picked up Eli Apple out of free agency back in May, I think, a guy that's been moved around. He's been on 3 teams since he's been in the league. He's only been in the league 4 or 5 years, I think. And we also drafted Troy Pryor Jr. and Stanley Thomas Oliver in the draft. And without a preseason or any type of games to give them some live action, it was going to be unrealistic to try to get them to develop enough in time to be a quality starter that we can kind of depend on. And mix that in with Eli Apple being a little bit banged up with, I think, some hamstring issues. Now we're looking like, okay, what are we going to do, guys, with the secondary? We're going into the season in 2 weeks, and we don't know if we can actually trust our back 4 guys. I know we re-signed Trey Boston this offseason, and pretty much which I thought was a surprise, but we re-signed him, who was a late addition last offseason. But that's the only guy who I feel actually comfortable with right now in the secondary, and that's not a good thing. And to be honest, Eli Apple is not good to me at all. I mean, I think he's borderline garbage. He was a high pick. He came out of Ohio State. They get a lot of credit for producing DBs, but I just don't think he's that good of a player, and we've already seen what happens when you start 2 rookie corners. When we started James Bradberry and Darryl Worley, yes, Bradberry ended up working out in the end, but those rookie years, those guys got destroyed by the NFL. I mean, destroyed. But like I said, with the 2 safety positions, I feel pretty comfortable with Trey Boston, and with rookie Jeremy Chin, I'm excited to see what he can do. I think he can be a quality, strong safety. Matt Rhule already seems like they're probably going to make him as a starter, but I don't want that much youth in the secondary. I would rather have Jeremy Chin moving around, being able to make some pieces with some vets around him that can teach him the flow of the game. Not for him to step into a huge role because our secondary is not that great overall. I still think he'll be a great player, but I like this. We'll see him eased into a position where, like I said, he's not the main guy that we need, and there's not a lot of pressure on him to develop quickly because, like I said, without that preseason, it's going to be hard for some of these young guys to really come along as fast as they normally would. So the biggest question is, how do they actually address these needs? I know they're like talking about trade, but to me, this year was going to be a throwaway year for us anyway. I didn't see us being that good. The division is tough. Our schedule is even tougher. We don't have a lot on defense as far as like experience and stuff like that. We drafted an all-draft defense, and we're going to be starting a lot of young guys. I don't see us being that great and winning that many games anyway. I don't want to mortgage our future by trading away these picks, especially when I know we're in rebuilding mode. I think those draft picks down the line are a lot more valuable to us than getting a corner, unless it's going to be a big name guy that we can bring in and sign to an extension eventually. I don't see the value of making those trades. You know what I'm saying? If you got to give up a second round pick and go get a starting corner from somebody that's pretty quality, and you extend him, okay, then that makes sense because it's going to be hard to find a quality cornerback that high in the draft anyway. So you kind of go tit for tat. But if we're just going in and get a placeholder and some depth, I don't want to give up any kind of draft picks at all. I think we need all the draft picks we can get going down the line and make sure we can see if we can develop them, since we're going ahead and flipping the roster anyway and trying to rebuild this team. Now, the team does not have a lot of cap space, but if we want to look at free agency, Logan Ryan is still available as a free agent. You know, Logan Ryan has some experience playing for the Patriots. He played a little bit for the Titans also. He is a great corner. But word on the street is his price tag is a little bit too high, especially for us, per se. If it's too high for anybody else in the league, it's too high for us. You know, the Panthers almost never have cap room when it comes to all season, and we never pay big money for the right players. You know what I'm saying? Especially where we need it. You know, so he's out there, but I think he's too rich for our blood. And I also heard that he's kind of thinking about converting to safety, I guess, to just lengthen his career. Sometimes cornerbacks do that, but that's what I heard about him. Ross Cockrell is still out there. Like I said, Ross Cockrell has some experience with the team last year. Granted, it's a new system. People may not be high on him, but if you actually watch the tape, Ross Cockrell actually made some plays out there. He can actually be in pretty good position. He's a pretty smart player. Yes, his ball skills aren't the best, but I would rather have somebody experienced out there that's been with the team before, that's played with some of the guys here, that's going to be super cheap, that we know we can get, versus trying to throw a rookie out there and possibly scarring him for life, and you know is going to be picked on week in and week out by some of these veteran quarterbacks in this league. And for the safety position, if we're looking at for that depth, like I said, Eric Reid is still out there. I know what I heard earlier in the year is Matt Rhule just really cut him. It wasn't to do with any kind of protest or his speaking out about social justice. I hope not, at least. That's what he said in the media. But he clearly, he kind of gave the notion that he just thought that Eric Reid wasn't a good football player. And for him to still be getting paid by us for the next 2 years, you really have to not like a guy or really think he's that bad at ball to feel like, okay, you're not going to be on our team, but we're still going to pay you, even though we have a big need at your position. Do you really think Eric Reid is that bad to the point that it was an addition by subtraction to get him off this roster? I don't think so. I just think it's too much pride and they're not going to go back to him, but he's definitely out there. He's definitely versatile when it comes to playing safety or a little bit of linebacker position, depending on if they want these guys that can be versatile and move around a lot, similar to how they're planning on using Jeremy Chin. But to go back to what I was saying, just hearing these news right now is just wild to me. Like, Marty Hurney has really reached new lows. Like, as soon as you think you can't hate Marty Hurney anymore, he goes around and tries to inquire about getting secondary help when we knew we need secondary help pretty much all offseason. I understand about building the team in the draft from the front all the way to the back. So that's why you got Derek Brown and Etua Gross-Matos. And then you went with Jeremy Chin in the secondary, a guy that can play multiple positions. I get that. But, guys, when you know you have a glaring need, why won't they just go ahead and address these guys? Like, I'm tired of not having a dependable secondary, especially in a division where you're facing 3 top 10 receivers and 3 top 10 quarterbacks 2 times each. You need quality corners. Like, what do we look like putting Dante Jackson on Julio or Mike Evans or Chris Godwin or Michael Thomas week in and week out, or putting some rookie on there? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm having nightmares and losing sleep already about the damage that could possibly be done to us. And like I said, my expectations weren't that high for us anyway, but I still want to see these guys compete, and I don't want to be embarrassed just because of lack of moves made by our front office and Marty Hurney and Matt Rhule. But I don't know, man. You guys let me know down below in the comments. How do you feel about them announcing just now, 2 weeks before the season, that we need secondary help and they're looking for trades about that? Are you happy? Are you sad? Do you not really care because you feel like me and thinks that no harm can be done? We weren't expecting to win a Super Bowl anyway. So let me know down below in the comments how you feel about that. But without further ado, I'm Aaron Duckett signing off with Necessary Blunt and Sports Talk. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button like I said, and I'll see you in the next video.